Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, October 21st, 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a live stream. I've posted a few videos, but the information that I want to share with all of you today is pretty important. There's a gentleman that I've been speaking to for probably about 4 years now. Let's see, what this is, 2019. Yeah, probably pretty close to 3.5 to 4 years. And I can't really go into a bunch of detail about, who he is and what his credentials are. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. But before we get into this this telephone conversation that I had with him, and I did ask him if I could record the conversation, and I did, and we're going to listen to a very small piece of it. I guess I won't sugarcoat anything and just come right out and say it. Things don't look too good. It's actually had me quite frustrated over the last 2 weeks, thinking about a lot of things and contemplating on what's going to happen. And I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't. But we can clearly see all of the things happening around us, all of the things happening to the earth and our weather. Things are just really, really starting to come together. Something that I did hear about many years ago, and I did hear about recently again. Something that is transpiring on our sun. And once again, I keep going over this information constantly, and I'm not sure if it's really getting through to people. I'm not sure if they even believe it. I don't know what more to really do. YouTube has my channel pretty well dethrottled or censored or whatever you want to call it. The same thing applies for Facebook. So, I could only reach so many people. All of you sharing the videos does help. It does help a lot. Some of the information that I talked about in this conversation, I'm just going to be straight up with all of you. It really has me once again very, very worried, simply because our governments have a very, very good idea of what is happening, what could happen, and with all of the technology that we have, well, there's pretty much nothing that they can do. From what I've gathered over this conversation, for the last several years, they've been trying a lot of things up there in space, and they've been working closely with SpaceX to launch a lot of components. What these components are, that is something that I don't know. Only people involved in these programs would actually know. What some of these components are meant to do is give more or earlier detection of, well, let's just say solar radiation, solar flares, CMEs, things of that nature. Part of the conversation regarded the launching and the deployment of the Parker space probe. And if none of you know what the Parker space probe is, that was that very sophisticated space satellite, space probe that was launched. And it was supposed to head out all the way to the sun, reaching approximately 4 million miles away from the sun, and then moving in and orbiting the sun. And NASA called it, kissing the sun. And then they were, after all of their information was grabbed from this Parker space probe, they were going to smash it into the sun. I mean, it would be completely destroyed before it even hit the surface of the sun. But there's a big reason why they sent that probe out there. And as all of you may know or may not know, we haven't been getting any information back from that space probe, the Parker space probe. We haven't, as the public, but I'm sure that the people at NASA are definitely getting that intel. Let me go ahead and pull up the live chat here, and then we'll get into some of this. I got to say, folks, that it's the last 2 weeks for me have been just mind-bending, trying to absorb all of this information. And I'll be quite honest, it has me kind of upset. Before I get into all of this, first thing this morning, there were 2 articles back to back that were posted on the Watchers website that you see on your screen right now. One of them was written by a physicist, PhD, Dr. Jamal Sharir, titled, "Our Star's Companion Approaching Inner Planets of the Solar System." This references a brown dwarf star all the way at the edge of our solar system. It kind of goes into the Planet 9 theory. You guys can all go to the Watchers website and you can read this. But as I read the information, this downplays. I mean, this man has written, I think, either 26 or 28 abstracts that have been published. In my opinion, the reason why they've been published is because they kind of go along with the scientific narrative that there is nothing else out there that is disturbing our solar system or our sun. And in the article, they reference this CBS News, the CBS newscast, and this was from 2016. So this, scientists may have found true ninth planet. This video article is from 2016. The article from the Watchers was posted today, just a few hours ago. And I read everything. I also read Jamal Sharir's abstract pertaining to what he's talking about in this article. I'm not going to go through the whole article because it's kind of boring, and a lot of it just really doesn't make sense, and he doesn't offer any proof whatsoever. But I want you guys to listen to and watch this CBS News report from 2016. It's embedded into this article. So you guys watch this, and I'm going to have a few sips of my coffee, and you can see that science doesn't know which way to go. All of them seem to be in complete disagreement, whether they don't know the truth or they're covering up the truth. Or, as always, they don't want to lose their funding, or they don't want to take a chance on being killed. I'll just put that right out there to you. Accidents happen. Accidents have been happening to scientists. Oh, you know, that can go all the way back to Nikola Tesla. So go ahead and take a listen to this. And this was this CBS report. So let's check this out.
It's been almost 10 years since little Pluto was demoted from being a planet, but today scientists from the California Institute of Technology have announced that they finally have solid evidence for a planet X, a true ninth planet on the edge of our solar system.
While the ninth planet has not officially or technically been spotted yet, it is believed to be far beyond the orbit of Pluto, roughly the size of Neptune, with a mass 10 times that of Earth.
Staff writer for the Scientific American, Michael Lemonick, has written an article in the upcoming issue and is here to tell us more about this incredible discovery. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
So how did this discovery come about?
It came about because there are things out there, little icy objects that are orbiting in a funny way, and nobody was quite sure why. It seemed like there might be something with gravity pulling on them, but nobody quite understood. And finally, these scientists that you talked about took a really hard look at it, did simulations, calculations, and they came up with the explanation. It probably is this giant planet.
I think I read somewhere it orbits the sun every 10,000 to 20,000 years.
Right.
Is that why no one has seen it to this point?
No, that's not why. It's because it's so dim. It's so far away that even though it's big, it's very, very dim, and it'd be very tough to spot with a telescope.
I'm also fascinated at the idea that this planet could be so far out there and still our sun be the mass that is keeping it in the gravitational pull of our solar system.
Right, yeah, but no, it's true.
That's incredible. And so there was a thought at one point from scientists that when they thought that there was something beyond Pluto, that it might have been all the massive objects floating in the Kuiper Belt, but it's not.
Right, so all those objects are out there and they have a lot of mass, and originally the scientists said, look, a planet is such a crazy idea, maybe it's the Kuiper Belt itself that's pulling it on itself and making these orbits look funny. And they ran simulations and they tried to make that work, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. There's not enough stuff out there.
What does this tell us about our solar system?
Well, one thing it tells us is that we don't really understand it as well as we thought we did. And another is that it probably had a very violent beginning. This thing was probably formed much closer in and then flung out, maybe in a close encounter with Jupiter or something.
Wow, that is really incredible. And when we talk about the mass of this planet X, this ninth planet, being 10 times that of Earth, for those who are not scientists, what does that really mean, the mass of a planet versus Earth's mass?
Well, if you could put it on a scale, how much it would weigh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. And so it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's got more heft, it's got more gravity. It's this huge elephant in the living room, except we didn't know it was there.
You mentioned that scientists haven't seen it yet because of how far away it is and how dim it is. Is there a way for them to get visual evidence?
Yes, so the biggest telescopes in the world can theoretically see this thing if they're looking in exactly the right place. And with the publication of this new paper today, they are now going to start to look in earnest.
This is such a fascinating, and again, a lot of scientists believe that by figuring out that there is this ninth planet out there, that will give us even more insight into the birth of our solar system.
Exactly. Yeah. To understand what happened in the first 100 million years.
And the idea being that if we go with the hypothesis or the theory of the Big Bang Theory, that there was this massive explosion and these planets were flung out, and you have this ninth planet, and then you have all of our other planets in a row, essentially. How does that work?
Well, so the formation of the sun and all the planets happened long, long after the Big Bang. It's not really directly related. But the idea is that there was this big cloud of gas and dust just swirling around, and it shrank and condensed and got smaller and smaller. And the center burst into being as the sun, and the stuff around the edges condensed into being the planets. And then the question is, what happened next? Did they crash into each other? Did they fling each other around? And it looks like they probably did.
So that's sort of, I guess, what I'm hammering at. It could be that this explosion was so violent, and then we can't even imagine it, that you have a piece of that, some of those masses that are way, way out there beyond Pluto.
Right. That it's really part of those first few moments and the violence that happened then.
Right, and those closer to the sun happened millions of years, perhaps. I don't know the time frame, but after the planets that are further out.
Well, not really. No. It all happened at the same time. The thing is that there was little enough material in the inner solar system that Earth and those other planets kind of formed, and that was it. But further out, where there was a lot more gas and a lot more large objects, it got really kind of violent.
Just really quickly, I'm wondering if you can put into perspective for us how much further out there is this planet X than the rest of the planets in the solar system? I mean,
so Pluto we think of as the really out at the very edge, the very farthest thing that you could call a planet, even though we don't anymore. And
I'm still supporting Pluto's right to be a planet.
But this thing is 5 times further out than Pluto.
Fascinating. Is there any chance it's not a planet?
No, there's always. It's very foolish to say no chance because you just don't know what you don't know. But the odds are looking very, very good.
60 billion miles from the sun.
Yep.
Amazing.
Okay, folks, I'm going to just stop it right there. It was almost at the end of the video, but as I said in the beginning, and maybe some people just popped into the live stream, I saw that somebody mentioned, oh, this is a very, very old video. Well, if you clearly listened to what I said in the very beginning, is that the article was published today. You see that today, October 21st, 2019. As I mentioned, again, if you were listening to me and paying attention, and not paying attention to the live chat, but paying attention to what the hell I'm saying, this newscast, this video was embedded into this article, okay? I'm not stupid. I know old news from new news. I've been doing this for a very long time, so don't insult me by telling me that the information I'm showing is old. I know the date of the article. Matter of fact, I have the original news broadcast, which is from January 20th, 2016. Okay? Astronomers find evidence of for yet unseen ninth planet. So people, listen. Just listen to what I'm saying. Don't worry about the damn live chat. Just listen to what I'm saying. So, in this article that this Dr. Jamal Sharir published on The Watchers today, he disputes this ninth planet. And I guess in his mind and his research, he thinks that it is possibly a brown dwarf. Now, the reason why I stopped the video right here is if you look closely at the orbital path of this supposed ninth planet, it's damn near completely circular, almost on a flat plane like the Earth. Now, here's where I don't agree with this this scientist that was in this news video on CBS News. You can clearly see that, he was trying to, kind of cover up some things. Some things that just didn't make sense is that they were stating that they can't see it. But yet, a few years ago, articles and abstracts were published stating that they found water and ice on a brown dwarf star 55 light years away. Now that's a hell of a lot further away than this supposed ninth planet. Does that make sense to all of you? So I think it was 2 years ago they published the abstract that, NASA, using the Hubble Space Telescope, they state that they found water and ice on a brown dwarf star 55 light years away. But they can't see this hypothetical Planet 9. And they want to call it Planet X to take away from all of the evidence, all of the observational evidence that is out there. 99% of it, I put out there. Now, once again, the internet and Facebook and YouTube are being flooded, completely flooded, with Planet X and Nibiru complete nonsense. And look, folks, I'm tired of beating a dead horse in the mouth. I guess some people are having a hard time learning or even listening to me. That 99.9% of that all of you follow is just complete garbage. There are no planets in the clouds, because if there were planets in the clouds, we would all be dead. If there was a second sun that you can see only using a cell phone camera or a camera, and there was a second sun in the sky, we would all be dead. So please, get it through your heads that all of these fake photographs that have flooded social media and the internet are just that. They are fake. It is a program that the governments have set up, and it was set up by the U.S. and the U.K. Okay? These two organizations set that up to flood social media with this nonsense. And a lot of you people think that, I follow this guy on Facebook and I follow this guy on YouTube, and yeah, he's for real. Listen, you don't even know who these people are. You don't even know who the people are right now in the live chat watching this live stream. You get my drift? So, once again, more complete nonsense that is coming out. They're trying their best to hide the fact that the earth is in serious trouble. Now let's take a look at politics. I've mentioned this before. All of a sudden, in January of 2019, this year, the little congresswoman from the Bronx in New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, comes out with, the Green New Deal, and we only have 11 or 12 years left of existence because of climate change. Now see, they backed off of the whole global warming crap, and they invented a new name, climate change. And the reason for that is because they know, they meaning the powers that be, the elite, the globalists, they have all of these scientists and scientific organizations and journals all in their back pockets. The same applies to a lot of universities around the world because the universities get the funding from grants and endowments. Does that make sense? Okay, I thought it did. Now, let's go over to the Watcher's homepage. Now, not only was that article published today, this article was published just about maybe an hour or so afterwards. Massive solar storms 2,700 years ago recorded in ancient Assyrian cuneiform tablets. So apparently they found some more, tablets that were inscribed with information that relates to catastrophes worldwide, and it related to the sun. And in these tablets, it referred to the sky turning red. Now, what do we see all around the world for the last couple of years is everybody posting these photographs of these wild, crazy-looking skies, these wild colors, pinks and purples and these bright burnt oranges and just the whole 9 yards. And we're seeing this around the world for, the last 3.5 to 4 years. Some of it is normal to an extent. But as the years have gone on since 2016, 17, 18, these amazing colors have become more prevalent. And people are just getting used to it. It's kind of like the dumbed down effect. You're kind of pre-programmed. If you see something constantly, every single day, you're dumbed down to it. The same thing applies to the stratospheric aerosol injections, aka chemtrails. And the video that I'm going to play for you guys, and you're going to listen to this gentleman tell you a little bit about what's happening up there. You're going to see that, yes, at one point in time, our view of the sun from Earth, looking up into the sky, the sun was orange or a yellowish orange color. Well, now, over the last, 3 years, 4 years, the sun has turned white. Now, if any of you know anything about fire, extreme white coloring in fire would designate the hottest point. Not yellow, not orange, not red, but white hot. Like the old saying goes, white hot. I myself have talked about this before. Mark at the Blue Kool-Aid channel, he's talked about this considerably. Mark works outside. I mean, I used to work outside many years ago, and I even noticed some of these things then. I noticed the coloring when I was outside, how everything just looked so bright. No shadows. It was like you were in a movie studio under intense lighting. So there is a reason for this. There is a reason for the chemtrailing. It's not to hide planets in the sky, like literally planets in our atmosphere. The aerosol injections that they are injecting into our atmosphere and our sky are meant to reflect this solar radiation and try to reflect out into space these UV rays. These UV rays are through the roof. So check this out. So we're moving into the fall season in the northern hemisphere. Weather is once again getting pretty crazy. We just saw that last week with a massive snowstorm move across almost all of the United States in the beginning of October. Unheard of, unseen. More climate chaos. But let's get back to the sun. So it's 72 degrees outside here where I live in the Pittsburgh area. 72 degrees. Very, very low humidity, down around 68%. Cool breeze blowing. And I was out doing some weed whacking. I had my back to the sun. It was a crystal clear day, no chemtrails, no clouds at the moment. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. And as I had my back to the sun, just within a matter of, I'd say maybe a minute, I could feel the burn. I could feel the burn and the intensity on the back of my neck, on my bare skin. And the thin shirt that I had on, I can feel the heat. Same thing applied to the back of my arms. I could feel that intensity. So if any of you can jog your memory and go back 10 years or 20 years ago in the fall, you didn't feel that. And when you looked up at the sun, it had an orangish, yellowish color to it. Not this burning white color. This all gets into the phone call and the information that you're going to hear. We know that this object is orbiting the sun every 28 days. We now see that the data is being held back right at the specific times of the month that we need to see it. It happened this month. It happened last month. It happened in August. It happened in July, and so on and so forth. But we still have been making the actual observations, except for September. They just held it back. Now, fortunately for October, we did get a decent observational view of this object right where it was supposed to be, right on time. Now, getting back to this planet 9, and you see that orbit is kind of on a flat plane. Well, listen, folks. If that hypothetical object was on a flat plane out there past Pluto, they should have been able to see it by now, right? If they could see a brown dwarf star 55 light years away and detect ice and water on a brown dwarf 55 light years away, why in the hell can't they give us some photographic evidence of this supposed planet 9? Because the supposed hypothetical, theoretical planet 9 just doesn't exist. Period. Period. If that object did exist, the solar system would look completely different than it does now. And then they start confusing you with the Big Bang Theory. And these scientists don't know anything, nothing, about how our little tiny solar system formed. I'm sorry, but over all of my years investigating this matter, I don't agree with the Big Bang Theory. I don't believe in any of that because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't. What does make sense is high velocity planets zipping through space that encounter a large star or a medium-sized star like our sun and getting captured in the gravitational pull of the sun. Therefore, bingo, that orbit that they may have been captured into now starts to shrink down. It's a high possibility. It happens all the time. All the time in the solar system. These astronomers and astrophysicists talk about it all the time. They talk about two suns orbiting each other very rapidly and then colliding and producing a pulsar. Oh, but why can't that happen in our little solar system, in this galaxy? What makes us any different than the rest of the universe? You see my point. So we know that this object was coming in. Okay? Dr. Robert Harrington recorded the information. Even though it was so far away, he really didn't know too much about it. Since his death, all of the IRAS information has been sealed. Confidential, classified, top secret. You cannot go and just analyze it now. Taking into consideration that back when all of that information was recorded from IRAS, Harrington stated in a BBC interview that it was approximately, back then they used those big reel-to-reel computer tapes, magnetic reels, to store this data. He said that there was 19,000 miles of data on those reels. And then soon after, that's when he went to New Zealand and he had gathered months of data through observations. And then that's when he reported all of that information back to the United States government. And then he dropped dead of esophageal cancer. Wow! How convenient was that? Because that man knew too much. He just knew too much. And I do believe that he thought that the world population should know and understand that there was a very, very high possibility that a rogue object was making its way through the outer parts of space on a beeline right for our solar system, not knowing the exact trajectory and things of that nature because it was way too far out. But now that the damn thing has made its way here and we got the first really good observational orbital details in 2007, just like any other object. That object came in, started orbiting the sun, probably in longer orbits, and as it would get closer and closer to the sun through those orbits, the sun's gravity kept sucking it in, pulling it closer and closer and closer and closer, and shrinking its orbit to where it is now. People have asked me about breakaway speed. There's no such thing as a breakaway speed. That is a myth and a complete lie put forth by Nancy Leader, that nutcase, and that all goes into the old Nibiru hypothesis, theory, myth, story. Folks, this planet Nibiru stuff doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. All of that, as I've learned over the years, has been placed out there as misinformation, disinformation. Now look, you guys are free will. You can believe whatever the hell you want to believe, but there is no, I repeat, there is no observational evidence of that planet. None. Zero. Now, you can talk about Sumerian tablets, you can talk about ancient Chinese writings, but there's no, to date, observational evidence, no evidence of Nibiru. It is a complete government farce. Period. It's meant to distract and be easily debunked by the troll babies that are out there all over YouTube and social media. Okay? So we know that this object is now part of our solar system. You know, it happens all over the galaxy, folks. It happens in just about, I would have to assume, every galaxy throughout the entire universe. With billions of stars and billions of planets, it does seem to happen frequently, constantly. But again, we really don't know. Man is so far behind in this science. Just because you have a few letters at the end of your name like PhD, and I've even said this to Dr. Elbers, just because you're a doctor of science doesn't mean you know it all. You may actually know nothing, because mainstream science has polluted your mind, therefore not allowing you to think outside of the box, as they say. So this article pops up on the Watchers just a few hours after the other article. And this was written by Julie Celestial. That probably is not her real name. But this goes into talking about these Assyrian tablets. And, you know, you guys could go to the Watchers and you could read all of this. And what this starts talking about is a solar event that happened in 660 BC. A solar event that did a lot of damage. Now, in 660 BC, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have satellites. They didn't have an electrical grid. So the fact of suffering through an EMP wasn't in their minds, naturally. But it did do damage. And apparently through analyzing and carbon dating some trees and some things that they found along with these tablets, shows a very strong solar event. As I've done some studying on these solar events, there's a very high possibility, scientifically, that, you know, the sun is or can be our worst enemy. A massive solar shock heading towards the Earth. And I'm not talking about these little CMEs or X flares that we see that, you know, the scientists worry about taking out our satellites and our power grid. I'm talking about a life-threatening solar flare directly coming towards the Earth and engulfing the Earth. Enough to melt both poles, both the North and the South Pole. Therefore, unleashing a massive amount of water vapor, temporarily flooding the entire Earth, and then at the same time, just literally evaporating water. Possibly even destroying our atmosphere and our ozone. Okay, so we know through time, thousands of years ago, some of these things occurred. here on Earth. Maybe the dinosaurs weren't wiped out by an asteroid. Maybe they were wiped out by one of these massive solar storms. What resonated all of this morning is the long conversation that I had with this gentleman. Without giving away too much of what he's done throughout his career, because he still has 15 more years on his government non-disclosure agreement. He's not looking to die anytime soon. But he did tell me that they've been watching this very, very, very closely for about a decade now. And they were trying to figure out how to get more information from the sun, because the only components that we have out there now aren't that close to the sun, meaning the stereo spacecraft and SOHO and the ACE and Discovery satellites that bring back some data. They need something new technology, and they needed to get all the way out there, within 1 million miles of the sun. That tells me one thing, that if they want to stay 1 million miles away from the sun, then that means that once they get out there, and they're already out there, the Parker Space Probe, what I'm referring to, they want to get observational evidence of their own of this object making its orbit. That is my theory. And I think that's what they're doing. There's a lot of bad things happening around the world, folks. A lot. I know probably a lot of you really don't maybe pay attention to it, but it is going to affect each and every one of you. It is going to affect your lives sooner than you think. The little white picket fence that you live behind, it's going to be torn down, smashed. Your life is never going to be the same from this point on. Now, getting back to these massive, massive solar flares, I spoke and have talked about and have done a few videos about Major Ed Dames. Some people said, oh, he's a fake, he's a fraud, but you don't back it up with anything. You just spew that garbage out of your mouth like you know it all, but you don't back it up. Major Ed Dames was a remote viewer for the United States government, for the United States Army for 20 years. What, that's all a lie? That's all that you have to say? It's all a lie. Everything's a lie when you come to try to debunk credible information. Oh, it's just a lie. Well, buddy, you better do better than that. He talks about this solar flare, a massive CME. Folks, maybe you don't comprehend what a massive CME or a massive solar flare would actually do to the Earth if this occurred. It would literally engulf the entire planet, almost basically like in a ball of fire. Almost every living creature, including, humans, animals, and plants, would be completely destroyed. It would probably boil over the majority of our oceans, seas, and lakes. That would also penetrate all the way through the Earth's crust. Therefore, massive, massive earthquakes and volcanoes, unlike anything modern human beings have ever seen in their lifetime. Forget about your PhDs and your hardcore science. We know nothing about that because there is no human being on this earth that has witnessed it. And this is critical because from what I've been told, and this is what shook me up, and it's actually still has me, shaken, is that they have determined that there was a high possibility that this would occur sometime between the years of 2018 and 2023. Well, this is 2/3 of the way through 2019. Okay, we're still alive. We haven't had that event occur. Thank God. But there's still many years left to get to that projected point between 2018 and 2023. Science has been wrong before. Wrong many, many times. But during my conversation, this was expressed that, listen, Scott, this could happen like a flash. Like a flash. We would have a few hours to prepare. How do you prepare? That was my question. How the hell do you prepare for something like that? And just like ancient man did, they went underground. How far underground was my next question. At least a mile, if not more, under solid rock, within a mountain, deep underground. Will you survive? There's a possibility if the earthquakes don't crush your underground installations. But ancient man went into mountains. They went underground. That's been proven. We've found the caves, the artifacts. We found all of that. Well, other archaeologists and scientists. So maybe somewhere down the line, the sun went through these traumatic situations, big burst of a solar flare coming directly at the earth and wreaked havoc. That seems to be the case in this data that was discovered going back to 660 BC. And they also think that they have other events, it states here, around 775 BC, 993 BC, and 660, 775, and 993. They don't know exactly why that happened. Did something else influence the sun? Or did the sun just have a big hiccup? Again, we as human beings are so far behind in science, we'll never know. We'll never know. But I'm going to jump out of here. And you guys, you want to go over to the Watchers, you can go over and check those two articles out and read them if you want to. it was interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump out of here. I am going to shrink my big head a little bit. And I am going to let you guys listen to a little bit of this phone call. Listen very carefully.
That the equator of the sun rotates every 26 days, while the north and south hemispheres rotate every 37 days. And what happens is this, so the bottom of the sun goes this way and the top of the sun goes this way, and you create torsion shear, it's called. And after a while, this builds up, it starts crossing each other and building up, and it takes about 25,000 or so years for this to just completely, and we're at that place right now. The sun used to be yellow. Okay, the sun is no longer yellow, it's white now. And I'm old enough to tell you it used to be yellow. And anybody my age will tell you that the sun definitely was yellow if you look at little kids' drawings from 30 or 40 years ago. Now they draw the sun as white, but we used to draw the sun as yellow. And it's changed, and NASA knows this. And I think chemtrails are attempts by the elites to dampen this incredible light. I know guys who do construction, and they tell me they're in their 40s, and they tell me that, Jay, 75 degrees doesn't feel like 75 degrees anymore. It feels like 95 degrees. He says, it says 75 degrees, but I'm absolutely toasting on the roof of the house. And I said, that's because the UV is through the roof. They've never seen UV like the ultraviolet, like they see it right now. And NASA doesn't know what to do. They're actually changing their whole idea about how to carbon date and everything, because the sun is not a stable star. They now know it. When I first came out with my work about 15 years ago, NASA called me an alarmist and said, he's an alarmist, don't pay attention. Now NASA's really concerned about this and is advocating putting generators on nuclear power plants, because if you have one of these, an EMP will happen and everything will be wiped out, and they're really, really worried about it. And so in 15 years, they've changed their minds, and it's good. And I've been told the same thing, that they're really working overtime to try to make it. And there's different kinds. I've noticed that there's different kinds of chemtrails now. There's new kinds. It used to be just streaks in the sky that would blossom and connect to each other and create a silvery sheen blocking the sun. But now there's little spots that grow into clouds, odd-looking shaped clouds. And, our beautiful weather in Colorado has really been kind of destroyed by these things. It was like almost every day, the silver sheen appears in the sky, destroying our bright blue sky, and it's getting kind of disconcerting. And you look at the drought-resistant seeds that Monsanto is developing, and it's like, why are you doing that, And they're worried about something. And this goes back into, the Al Gore, global warming, it's all our fault. Well, it's not our fault. It's the sun that's causing all the heat to go up. It's not the humans. Humans, I'm not saying I'm for pollution, I'm not, but I'm saying, one volcano going off puts out more pollution than, we do. And it's not that, although I think we should cool it on the pollution, but we've got to look at the sun. That's where the real problem is. That's what generates weather, nothing.
Okay, folks. I hope that you were able to understand what this man is saying. So I'll explain one thing here real quick. In the beginning, he was talking about the sun's internal rotation. The north cap of the sun and the southern cap of the sun rotate differently and at different speeds than the equator. So every 37 days, the top of the sun and the bottom of the sun rotate. 360 degrees. The center, the equator, the equatorial region of the sun rotates approximately every 26.9 days, 27 days. So basically, that twisting, it's called torsion shear. So you're applying a tremendous amount of pressure on that star. Now, I'm not sure if that happens with other stars, but it's happening with our star. Now, what he's talking about, scientists have known for a very, very long time, decades and decades and decades. They've known that the polar regions of the sun rotate slower than the equatorial region, therefore torquing the sun. Going back through ancient history, I guess they were able to determine that about every 25,000 years this situation occurs. When that torque is placed on the sun, I guess it takes about 25,000 years. And then boom, that explosion occurs. That massive solar flare occurs. If the Earth is in the wrong place at the wrong time, lights out. Literally. And I'm not talking about electricity. I'm talking about all plant life, animal life, and human beings. Destroyed. That isn't new news. Scientists have known about that for quite some time. As we talked further, we got into the aspect of why we are now constantly under the gun of these coronal holes, always facing Earth. Literally, on a day-to-day basis, we can watch the outer atmosphere of the sun dissipate and disappear. And we're going to go ahead and jump into that right now. And I'll show you point blank. We're going to go to the SDO, Solar Dynamics Observatory. And this is our extreme ultraviolet view of the sun right now. This is a 48-hour loop. One of the major causes of these earthquakes here on our planet is the induction of these heavily charged particles that stream directly from these coronal holes, impacting our Earth on a daily basis. Every second of every day, we are under this threat. It is producing some of the most amazing aurora in both hemispheres. Aurora that has never been seen before in hundreds of years. Massive, massive aurora in the northern hemisphere, especially. Take a look at the current SDO 48-hour loop. What do you see? You see a small coronal hole just slightly above the equatorial region of the sun. And then as it rotates right into your view, you are now watching the outer atmosphere of the sun completely disappear, exposing the Earth to even bigger and heavier streams of these charged particles. On top of all of that, the sun's going white. Well, the sun is already white. And when I asked about that color change, the explanation of the torquing of the sun, that was the explanation for the white sun. The sun is actually burning hotter than it ever has in modern times. Now, I'm sure that this might have happened thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago. Maybe this 25,000 year cycle is coming into play. And when I asked that question, he stated, we're just a little bit beyond that right now. Meaning like we're literally sitting on a ticking time bomb. Just like the Cascadia subduction zone out in the Pacific Ocean off of the west coast of the United States. Well overdue for a massive subduction and earthquake wiping out large portions of the Pacific Northwest. Something that has come into play just last week, all of a sudden. San Andreas Fault in the news everywhere. And that's all in relation to the Gerlach Fault and all of those earthquakes out there in Ridgecrest in California. It has now unlocked more pressure on the San Andreas. At any given time, that can just unleash catastrophic damage to the state of California. That could possibly even ripple all the way into Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. We are literally sitting on a ticking time bomb. Every single day, we are looking at an Earth-facing coronal hole. And they are massive, people. Now, there's been some other info that has come out. I popped up a couple of articles on the Planet X News website. And listen, guys, if you don't have the Planet X News website bookmarked on your computer or in your phone, you're doing yourself an injustice. Because nobody can stop you from going to my website. So if you visit the website once a day or twice a day to see if I have posted new videos and articles, read the articles. They're there for a reason. They're there to teach you about what is happening. They're blocking me so bad on social media. There's nothing more that I can do. So you have to take the matters into your own hands. And when you have time, sit down at your computer, your cell phone, whatever, and pull up planetxnews.org and look for new articles and look to see if I have posted a new live stream. But right now, looking at the sun, this is what I'm talking about. Every single stinking day since 2016, we are looking down the barrel, the double barrel of these massive coronal holes. They are doing significant damage to this planet. And I mean, as I'm speaking to you right now, the situation that I'm talking about, a massive solar flare heading right towards the Earth, and within a matter of a few hours, boom, it's over. It could happen right now. But for some reason, they had that short timeline between 2018 and 2023 that we could be the most vulnerable. I did not get an explanation on why they are saying that, why they're considering that timeline. I wish I did. I wish I had that information. But things aren't adding up. Why, for the first time, does NASA put together a space probe to launch it all the way to the sun? We had the technology to do that 10 years ago. Why now? You see my point. They're trying to collect more data. They are also trying to do things out there in space, way far past the space station, to give the governments more information on what is coming from the sun. Because all too often, these older satellites that are out there, like Discovery and ACE and SOHO and SDO and Stereo, they've been out there for so long, new technology has arrived. Why do you think that there are constant rocket launches? Because those son of a bitches are building things in space. That's how they built the space station. Launch after launch after launch after launch after launch. Remember the space shuttle days? All of those components to build the space station were on the damn space shuttle. They built it in space. And from what I understand, building things like that in space is relatively easy if you have that technology. There's no gravity, so you could move things around and lock them in place, bolt them down, pressurize them, and now you have a living habitat. So they are building things out there that they hoped would be able to protect us in some way. But I think reality has set in that that project is entirely just too vast for modern man to accomplish. We know that this object is orbiting the sun. We know that this object has a very, very strong magnetic field. And we know that it has the ability to literally pull plasma right from the surface of the sun and create these coronal mass ejections. That is what worries me. Because we can't get away from it. It's not like we can go out there into space and, excuse me, bump this object out of its orbit and send it on its merry way. We can't do that. This object is 5 to 7 times the size of Jupiter, for God's sakes. It's huge. Shit. Let me give you an example. Just recently, a couple of days ago, we were able to get some more observational evidence. I put together a short video of it. The hell did I do with it? What did I do with it? Didn't I save it? What did I do with it? This was on the 14th. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and back this up. Right here where my cursor is, right there where my cursor is, if you watch very carefully, you're going to see this object passing upward, passing right by the sun in its elliptical and eccentric orbit, coming up from below the ecliptic, and as it gets to its closest point. Now remember, folks, I've told all of you before that during that time frame, anywhere between the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th of the month, it's usually around the 12th, 13th. That's what I've been recognizing over the course of the last year, is between like the 10th, 12th, 13th, 14th. We see that coronal mass ejection always in the same place at the same time. The evidence, it's stacking up. So if you watch very carefully, you're going to see this object come in towards the sun. It will literally start to pull plasma from the sun. Therefore, it creates the coronal mass ejection. Regular astrophysicists or heliospheric scientists, they would look at that as just another coronal mass ejection. But coronal mass ejections and this type of activity during a solar minimum is damn near completely rare. Remember, we're only in the first few months of this solar minimum. That is also worrying me because the sun's magnetic field starts to decrease during that time. The Earth's magnetic field decreases at that time. But the activity on the sun is consistent with this 28-day orbit, which means twice a month, we're going to get these types of explosions in the form of coronal mass ejections. Twice a month they're going to occur. So that increases our odds of one of those drastic moments that maybe we are in the wrong damn place at the wrong time and we are hit with one of these massive solar flares that does put our lights out. And I'm not referring to street lights and electricity. I'm referring to you know what. I just don't even want to say it. But just go ahead and watch this and you'll see this object passing by. And I did slow it down. I thought I made a complete video of this. Maybe I didn't save it. You'll see it gets enveloped in this coronal mass ejection. And folks, these are equivalent to, like a million atomic bombs exploding when you see these coronal mass ejections. And I mean that one was pretty impressive. Where is that damn video that I made? I could have swore that I made it. Let me see. I guess I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't. I think I forgot to save the damn thing. Well, let's do this. That's the 15th. That's the 14th. Okay. I could have swore I did this. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't save it. But I meshed these two videos together, and they were for the 14th and the 15th, showing you this coronal mass ejection all at one time. Now, I do have still photographs. If any of you didn't watch the last couple of videos that I put out last week that were kind of short, showing you, this observational evidence, I'll go through a few of the photographs and I'll show you what we captured once again. Now you're seeing these flashes on these coronagraphs, and over the last year, I've been noticing these big white flashes, and for the longest time, like right there, for the longest time, I just couldn't figure out what was happening. Maybe it was some type of overexposure to the heavily charged particles hitting the detectors on these spacecraft, the SOHO and Stereo. But now, I'm starting to think a little bit differently on why we're seeing these huge, big white flashes on these coronagraphs. That actually has me quite alarmed now, knowing what I know. I've watched so many coronal mass ejections over the years, and this last year, it seems that something has changed in the formation of these coronal mass ejections. Meaning, as they exit the sun, they have this kind of a ball shape, as you see forming there. And you could literally see it being pulled apart. The plasma being pulled right off the sun. Usually, when we see coronal mass ejections, they are massive explosions. Boom! Like that. But as of lately, throughout 2019, these coronal mass ejections have taken that formation that you're seeing on your screen right now. I mean, I don't even know how to put it into words to describe it, but you can see it. It's like you're pulling a very thick liquid off of something, and as you pull it off, it creates a kind of a string. You know what I'm talking about. And that's what we're seeing. And it expands, and the only reason why it takes that perfectly spherical look is because there is a perfectly spherical object within that coronal mass ejection. I mean, I could go back and I could show you videos of coronal mass ejections from years in the past where they're just boom, massive explosions, not this pooling of plasma. And that to me signifies that as that object gained its momentum coming up from the ecliptic. It gets to its closest point to the sun. And now that the sun has gone into solar minimum, these massive coronal mass ejections have changed their formation into what you are seeing on your screen now. And there's no doubt, folks. I mean, I've done the research on this for years and years and years and years, and I remember everything. And this is very unusual, and we have been seeing this constantly, consistently throughout the beginning of this year up until right now. And this is our latest coronal mass ejection. And you notice that big teardrop looking effect. But within that coronal mass ejection, we have the culprit. Let me show you. Let's get out of this video. And so during that coronal mass ejection and the plasma being pulled from the sun, as you can see right there where my cursor is, that was the best still photograph that I could get during that coronal mass ejection, showing you that large spherical object, which during a normal coronal mass ejection, there should be no spherical object within that coronal mass ejection. Am I correct? Yes, of course. But bingo, there it is on your screen. Once again, during the same time of month that it appears every single month. Month after month after month after month. I've been showing you the evidence for years. Now, over the course of this last almost 2 years, gathering the evidence, this is how I have basically come up with that this object is orbiting our sun. And every 28 days, we get 2 shots to see this object. Once kind of in the first third of the month and at the end of the month as it's coming up and as it's going back down. Somebody asked me, oh, well, why is it that we always see it on this side and that side? Well, that is why. We're able to see it at its closest points to the sun when it causes those disruptions, going in and coming out. That's how tight that orbit is. And that object has some very, very serious speed. It also should have a very, very fast rotational speed, meaning the stellar core object itself, its rotation is probably very, very, very fast. Very fast. Therefore, its magnetic field that it generates should be really strong. Very, very strong. It would have to be very strong in order for it to pull plasma directly from the sun. Therefore, it creates that coronal mass ejection. And folks, all of the evidence is there. It is consistent all the way through. Matter of fact, Mark from the Blue Kool-Aid channel, when I mentioned to him this hypothesis and this theory, and I said, listen, don't take my word for it. Okay? You go back in time, you go back through all of the data, and you see for yourself. And, a couple days later, he calls me up and he says, man, he goes, you're right. I went through back years, and there it was. Twice a month. Right on the money. Right when I said it would happen, it happened. That's where we're at. All of this other mumbo jumbo, folks, that you see on YouTube and Facebook with these fake photographs of two suns in the sky and, you know, people saying, oh, look, you know, there's a planet in the cloud. That's all meant to distract you. Make believe, hocus pocus, fake news, whatever you want to call it. Stop believing in it. Believe in the cold, hard facts. I mean, I bend over backwards to show you folks the real truth. And I get hammered for it. I get belittled for it. I get threats. I get it from all sides. That's fine. I'm thick-skinned. I can take it. I don't care about it. But what I do care about is all of us understanding and knowing what we are up against. If you don't care what we're up against as a species, as the human freaking race, if you don't care, then go about your business, live your life, don't watch any more of these videos, don't pay attention to it on social media, and just live in a shell. Live your life, whatever happens, happens. Tell you the truth, that's just about where I'm at right now. I already know so much that I think to myself sometimes, how much more can I tell these people? How much more can I show them? I almost want to just go about my business and live my life, whatever's left of it, and not stress myself so much anymore. But when I cast myself into this, I knew it was going to be a rough road. And I even thought at many, many times that, hell, my life can be in danger divulging a lot of this information. It is what it is. But it's what you people take away from it. It's what you people do with the information as you gather it from me. I've yet to find any other person on the face of this earth besides myself and Mark over at the Blue Kool-Aid channel that actually really gets it, understands it, believes it because of the evidence. Folks, our backs are against the wall, per se, so bad right now that we are just literally sitting on a ticking time bomb. I hate to sound like, Danny Downer, but it is what it is. There's also the very high possibility that none of this will occur in our lifetimes, and we can go about our business. We won't be around when any of this happens. We could turn a blind eye to all of it. Or it could happen today or tomorrow. Those are the facts. Yeah. I'm going to jump out of this picture real quick. And, there was just a pretty hefty earthquake out there in Vanuatu hours ago. Magnitude 6.4 just blew off. And we're going to jump over here real quick to the Planet X News website. And as I mentioned, folks, you should bookmark this website. Check it out from day to day. If YouTube is not giving you your notifications and you're not following me on Facebook or Twitter, and you don't know what I'm up to, you don't know if there's any new information, you'll find it all right here. All of my latest videos, as soon as I'm done with live streams or whatever videos I upload, they automatically are embedded directly into the website. They're all right there. Latest information, watching the weather. Something is now occurring out there in the Indian Ocean, which is going to directly affect Australia. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that Australia is going to be in the target zone for some very, very nasty weather conditions. I posted that video information, and then I had a whole bunch of people squawking and flapping their gums and saying, "Oh, that happens in Australia all the time." No, it doesn't. For the people that were saying those things, you're a cold-hearted liar. For the last several years, Australia has been setting records for heat. And in the small portion of Australia, where they actually have ski resorts and some snow, those records are being set. So, once again, you have troll agents that are out there all over social media spreading disinformation and trying to create doubt in your minds. Don't let it happen. Do your research. Pay very close attention to credible information, not some goon in a comment section on a video or a post on Facebook, because they're probably fake. Or they're one of them little alphabet soup agents sitting in the telemarketing room playing around on social media using fake accounts. So, what is now brewing, and I just put this article together a few hours ago, and it's a little hard to explain. You should just simply sit down and read the article. And what I was saying about what was going to be happening to Australia is occurring. Okay? I'm not the only one who's talking about it, but information coming out of Australia as of lately has been censored. That's a fact. So what is actually occurring is you have on one side of the Indian Ocean, you have some colder water temperatures, and on the, let me just pan back up here. On the western side, you have some warmer temperatures. On the eastern side, you have some cooler temperatures. And what this is going to do is when this dipole comes together, this creates large heat waves and droughts. Significant droughts. Now remember what I said a few weeks ago, folks. The weather situations around the world are going to be unique and different depending on where you're at on this planet. There are going to be people that are going to go through extreme amounts of polar cold. There are some people that are going to have mild winters, and this is all in the northern hemisphere. You're going to have sections of the northern hemisphere where it should be cold, but it's moderate and warm for now. And then you're going to have sections like now in the southern hemisphere where it's late spring going into summer. Now, those folks are going to experience very, very high and extreme temperatures peaking over 100 to 120 degrees daily. Daily. There will be no rain, and that will create extreme drought. Therefore, no crops. Animals will succumb to these heavy droughts. This is already taking place. It's already taking place right now, as we speak, as you're listening to me babble on. It is occurring. You'll have your Australian troll organizations that say it's not. But it is. All of this data in this article is fresh, brand new, up to date as of today. Yeah. This is a generalized explanation of what is occurring. This is somewhat of a natural occurrence. It's referred to as the IOD, or the Indian Ocean Dipole. But now, just like last year, this dipole is extreme, record setting. So why is it that we keep setting records? Why do you consistently hear meteorologists saying, "Oh, I've never seen this before. Oh, we've never seen this before"? That's because for modern man, the modern human species on this planet hasn't seen any of this before, because in our time it hasn't happened. But it's happening now, and you're living it. Just like I said, folks, as time goes on, you are going to live it. This graph right here shows you the IOD index time series, and you can see already starting in July, from January through July, you can see that steady increase to where right now it is peaked. And we're already in October. So these conditions in Australia are going to get very, very, very severe. I have access to the Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. All of you can, go look it up and check it out. But you got to know where to look and what to look for on their website. You have to know where to gain all that information. But as you can see right here, this is the Australian rainfall. Okay. Now, everywhere where you see those red and pink colors, that is below average, very below average, and lowest on record. So as you can see, I would have to say that more than 70% of the entire country is going to be going through that very, very severe drought. There's just no doubt about it. It's already happening. On this chart right here, this is a chance of exceeding the median rainfall for November of 2019. Now, you've got about 95% of the country. 95% of the country will not even come close to exceeding the average November rainfall, which means what? Severe drought. And I said this last month and the month before. People called me stupid. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're an idiot. You're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Number one, I'm not an idiot. Number two, I do my research. Number three, I've had a passion for weather just about all my life. I study weather on a daily basis. I said this before, I'll say it again. I could probably be a damn meteorologist. I could probably go get a job on the Weather Channel right now. This is a very, very good article, very, very good information right here. If any of you are interested, just go right over to the planetxnews.org website, read the information. If you have friends of yours, social media friends of yours that live in Australia, bookmark the article, copy the link, inbox it to them, email it to them, say, hey, check this out. Is this what you're experiencing right now? Oh, it is. Oh, well, Scott must know what the hell he's talking about. Very, very, very good information that has just crept out. Oh, on my news website, we're going to shift gears here for 1 second. On my national, international news website, as of lately, I've been very, 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 very busy with all of this political mumbo jumbo going on here in the United States with our politics. And, as of lately, it's been taking up a lot of my time doing the articles, writing the articles, and producing short videos for the Facebook page. The MFA Media Group Facebook page, we have over 103,000 followers. And just late yesterday, a massive tornado, well, actually multiple tornadoes, come out of nowhere and hit Dallas. And widespread damage, widespread power outages. And folks, to be honest with you, during this time of year, to have something like this occur in the Texas region or even in the central part of the United States is kind of rare. But it happened, and it came in, and it occurred at night. One of the worst times. So a few hours ago, I was pulling information in as it was coming in from this tornado, multiple tornadoes. And people were able to get a few shots, but it was hard because it was dark. And people did not know what was happening. I'll leave you guys a link to the MFA Media Group Facebook page and also the news website. If you guys are interested in reading the stuff that I'm uncovering about our politics in this country and many other countries and everything that's going on, you might want to join up and follow me there also. This was an incredible photograph right here. This was happening as a few lightning strikes were occurring. During those lightning strikes, it illuminated one of these tornadoes, and it did some heavy damage. I embedded this newscast from Dallas, North Dallas, CBS Channel 11 News, and you guys can click on that. You can watch that. It was pretty widespread destruction. This was pretty damn scary. This video comes from Storm Chasers, and you can play this, and hailstones, and as the lightning was flashing, they were literally getting these views of these huge jet black tornadoes off in the distance. And let me tell you, I've never been in a tornado. I've been in hurricanes before, never a tornado, but it looked pretty damn scary. This was a tweet that somebody from Dallas recorded. We could check that out real quick. Yeah, that's a little scary. There's one more down here. Athena rising. I think she's in the Rockwall, Texas area. I guess that's somewhere relatively close to Dallas. You guys can check that out. There you can see. Let me see if I can get a picture of those. Trying to work this slider here. Damn it. There you go. There is just a flash from the lightning. And you've literally have two tornadoes not very far apart just destroying everything. And again, this happened in the middle of the night when people are sleeping. You're unaware of what is happening. There was no warning of this occurring. Once again, our weather is going to become more severe as time goes on. And I'm not talking about years, folks. I'm talking about every single month that ticks away on that calendar. These events are going to become more prevalent. They're going to be like every single day. And it's just going to affect people all around the world. People in different areas of this planet are going to have different problems. And as the seasons change, all of that shifts. That's something that we're going to have to live with, get used to, and expect. So that's what's cooking down in Dallas. It's not good. It's not good. As the sun comes up, the daylight hits the Dallas area, we'll see what has transpired. I'll be getting more reports on what has occurred down there. And hopefully, nobody has lost their life. Let's just hope. One more thing I want to show you guys before I cut out of here. We're going to take a look at the GOES 16 satellite. And I'm going to flip over here to the clean infrared. We're going to back this off a little bit. I'm going to set this up for you guys so you can see there's a very strange, another strange vortex that is forming across the United States. As you can see right down here, a massive, once again, another massive storm cell out in the Gulf of Mexico, partially off the coast of Texas. That's going to be rolling right up into Louisiana. There's probably going to be some flooding associated with that in the outer banks of Louisiana. So if you live in this area, batten down the hatches, pay attention to your weather because it's a-coming. Once again, we're seeing this absolutely crazy vortex forming in the center of the United States. You can see it right here. Let me just go ahead and I'll stop it right here. It almost looks like a big question mark, and this bottom storm cell right here being the dot at the bottom of the question mark. But you can see that this pattern is the same identical pattern that occurred in the beginning of the month that brought that huge polar vortex, that huge trough of polar air down over the Pacific Northwest and dumped all of that snow, freezing cold temperatures, 20, 30, 40 inches of snow in some areas, and then it moved off, but it had the same cyclonic formation. Remember last winter, folks? That huge cyclonic formation that formed over the central part of the United States and just wiped the living hell out of everything. This is a pattern that I've been watching, seeing, and observing over the last 2 years. When we move into the fall and winter season, this is what is going to start to occur every single week in the Northern Hemisphere. There will be some people, some areas of the United States that are going to have a very, very moderate winter. I'm actually in that zone of having a moderate winter in the Pittsburgh area again. Wet, moderate temperatures, but for a lot of folks, they are going to get crushed. Let me show you why. What happened last year with the jet stream is going to take place again this year. It seems to be this set pattern that we are in. And I've been watching this now for 2 straight years. This is going to be the 3rd year, and it's already matching up to be the same. Now, we're going to continue the rest of this year going into 2020, and we are going to see very, very large low pressures and this trough where the low pressure is right here, just like last year, that trough of all of that polar air gets pushed down by this crazy and erratic jet stream all the way down into Texas, all the way down to the tips of northern Mexico. And as you can see, all of those states, those are the same states that got crushed last year. And if any of you live in those states, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. And it is coming at you again for 2019-20. Okay, so be aware. Be aware. Have your safety measures in place now. You already got a taste of it in the beginning of this month. You are going to get a big taste of it for the next several months until we creep into the late spring of 2020. And then we're going to be talking about massive flooding. But that is several months away. Right there at this point right here, midway through the state of Ohio, this is the same thing that set up last year. It's going to set up again this year. Right around the capital, Columbus. That's the breaking point where this trough, the high pressure, pushes up. And you can see I'm right here in the Pittsburgh area where I put this little dot right there. So this trough comes down, swings all the way down, goes right through the center of Ohio and out this way. Then it's going to start taking that weather very quickly right across the Atlantic, and it is going to slam right into Ireland and the UK. Possibly even France and Spain may have some crazy situations brewing over there. But for the time being, these very weird, and this is like a cyclone. This is like a freaking hurricane. And we normally don't see patterns like that. And I'll go ahead and I'll let that play out, and you could see exactly what I mean. And this is all up to date. This is happening right now. Now, as the sun comes up and the atmosphere warms up and heats up all of that moisture that you're seeing flowing right now in that little cyclonic pattern. That's going to be moving very, very quickly across the states of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and I'm probably going to see some severe rains on Wednesday, or maybe even tomorrow. We'll see. But for right now, that situation that's cooking right there in the Gulf of Mexico, man, that is a monster. And do you see how fast these storm cells are cooking themselves up? Almost so fast that, I mean, you don't get any warning. And just like the folks in Dallas, they didn't have any damn warning. They were sleeping in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now they got 3 tornadoes within a very short distance of each other, ripping, tearing, gouging, and destroying everything in sight. Folks, this is the wretched world that we're now living in. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, I'm very surprised that the tropics isn't showing more activity. But then again, we still have the rest of October to go through for the hurricane season. And at any given time, as fast as you see these systems heat up, something could heat up coming off of the coast of Africa and just blaze its way all the way across the Atlantic, and boom. So watch your weather very, very carefully. Maybe get yourself one of those apps on your cell phone that will give you a warning of some kind. That way you know what you're in for. As far as the outlook for this winter, trust me, folks, what I just showed you with those huge dips in the jet stream, bringing down those huge low pressures with high pressures being pushed upward from the south, it's going to be the same setup. And you're talking about very extreme cold, way below zero, and at some of those points where the low pressure and the high pressure mesh together, you are going to see massive, massive amounts of snow and freezing cold temperatures that are going to move in very, very rapidly. So if you're not prepared, you're going to be in a bad situation. Okay? Something that I would definitely recommend is getting yourself some type of flashlights, definitely some extra batteries, even a small cooking surface like a camping stove. I mean, they're not that expensive. They sell them at Walmart. Keep on hand several of the propane cylinders. They're about that round, and they just screw right onto the side, because I think we're going to see a lot of power outages throughout this winter, and that is going to be caused by high winds and freezing rain and ice, and that's going to accumulate on the trees, that's going to accumulate on the power lines, and it's going to take them down. Okay, it happened in my area last year. There was one neighborhood of over 10,000 people that were without power for 10 stinking days. 10 days in the middle of a winter storm. No heat, no thermostat, no stove, no nothing. So prepare yourself. It's a coming. There's no doubt about it. I got this light at Walmart, about 2 years ago. It's made by Bell & Howell, good company. And it runs on 3 AA batteries. You just unscrew the bottom. It's plastic. You can hang it up if you need to, or you can walk with it. And It pulls open, and it's got the LED lights in it, and you can close it up. I've had a few power outages here in my neighborhood last week and the week before. Just out of nowhere, the power went out. No storm, no accidents on the roadway. Freaking power just went out. There was one day we were without power for 6 hours. 6 hours. So at any given time, folks, any of these things could happen. For you folks out there in the Midwest where I pointed out where this disastrous weather is going to occur, make sure you got good tires on your car, your truck. Make sure your batteries in your cars and your trucks are in good shape. Check them out. Get yourself a good oil change. Do whatever you need to do. Your property, if you've got big trees near your house and in your yards or near your power lines that go into your house, cut the damn things down. Cut them down. Get up, just be safe. Matter of fact, behind my house, I have a massive maple tree. The damn thing's about 60 feet high. There were a few large branches that were about 20 feet up that really grew like hell over the spring and this summer. They were pretty close to the main power line that comes into my house. Borrowed a chainsaw off my buddy. Said, come on up here, bring your 20-foot ladder. I need your help. And I cut all of those big branches down, chopped them all up, and he took it home for firewood because he has a wood burner. So I got rid of that threat. I also installed a bunch of new solar-powered lights around the walkways of my house. And I also installed some new LED bulbs. They're cylindrical. I got a 4-pack of them on Amazon for $25. And they use less electricity, and they're super bright. I installed them on the outside of my house, both exit and entrance doors. And I'm going to be going around my house, today and tomorrow, just looking for things that I might need to secure, fix, or upgrade. So that's all I have for all of you folks right now. It is kind of hard for me to do a bunch of live streams consistently every single day because, to tell you the truth, folks, only about 4,000 or 5,000 of you are actually seeing the videos, even though I have over 84,000 subscribers to this YouTube channel and 60, 70, 80,000 people that follow me on social media. They know who I am. The social media scum know who I am, and they prevent all of you from seeing and listening to me. They're doing it to a lot of other people around the world. It's called fucking censorship, and that's what they're doing. So it is up to you to come back to this YouTube channel, hit me up on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, go to the websites, do these things on your own to keep yourself up to date. All of the links are in the description box under every single one of my videos. And if you feel up to it, join the private Planet X News Network. The private network, the link is there. It's $5 a month. It's not going to kill you, even though I get the people in the comment section that say, I can't afford $5 a month, but yet you're watching me on YouTube, on your cell phone that you pay for, and you got cable TV. But whatever. If you want to join the private network, I share a lot of exclusive information there that I can't share on the boob tube or Facebook. In the beginning of the month, Facebook was striking my articles and my posts. I showed that to you in my last live stream. And everything that I put up, community strike, community strike, community strike. And it wasn't based on Planet X news either. It was based on political stuff. And also, I mentioned something about a flood. Boom, 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 boom. They were striking the living shit out of me. Not suspending my Facebook pages, but just taking my information right off social media and throwing it in the garbage. So that's where we're at. You can join our private, our Facebook group. And, I'll be quite honest with all of you. There have been a few jokers here in the Planet X News Facebook group that still, I don't know what the hell's wrong with these people. Maybe they don't watch my videos. Maybe they don't know who the hell I am. Maybe they don't pay attention to the information that I am putting out there, because they still, here's the article about the big tornado, but they still come to this. Now look, this is my live stream right now. I posted it 2 hours. The live stream that you're watching right now, I posted it 2 hours ago. Either people aren't seeing the post, or they're not interested in knowing the truth. Look, no likes, or 2 likes, no comments, no shares. But yet, here's the article that we went over about the Indian Ocean. 3 likes, no comments, no shares. But you get down, and when other people post things, there's always a bunch of comments. We'll get further down here. I posted this yesterday about these big gigantic skeletons they're finding again. Those will go in the basement of the Smithsonian Institute. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This guy posts this bullshit right here. Huge dark plasma sphere detaching from the sun and took off with near light speed. Okay, this is in reference to a coronal prominence that was recorded on the Solar Dynamics Observatory years and years and years and years and years ago. A bunch of idiots on YouTube said that it was a UFO linking up to the sun, recharging itself. Some people said it was Planet X. All it was a coronal prominence that popped and floated off into space. That's all it was. Here you go on October 19th, years and years and years down the road, and you still have people trying to pull the wool over your eyes with complete and utter stinking nonsense and lies. But you know what? Looky right there. 36 likes, 11 comments, and 7 shares. So people would rather share fucking bullshit than to share the fucking truth. What the fuck is going on? It's ridiculous. Like every single time, it's the same shit in this group. People post complete crap. And I tell them, I mean, have you not listened to any of my videos? Have you not seen any of the evidence? Like this bullshit right here. What the hell is this? I'll tell you what it is. It's illuminated dust on a lens. The same crap that fool Alex Lujan puts out there on YouTube. The same crap that Steve Olson at WSO puts out there. Lies. Complete stinking lies and nonsense. But you know what? people keep falling for it. People keep falling for it. Just complete nonsense. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I go through here a couple times a day, and if I see complete nonsense, I just I completely delete it. But if you want to join the group, you're more than welcome to. We have over, I don't know, 3,000 people that are on this group or in this group. And I would say probably 50%, about 50% of the things that are posted in this group, I don't know, complete garbage. You know, I don't know where these people are coming from. I don't even know. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. I'm trying to thumb through here to show you different things that are still garbage. Mark from the Blue Kool-Aid channel, he posts his information here. This young lady here, Michelle, she always posts good information. And this was information that was coming out in the beginning of the week and last week pertaining to what was happening with the San Andreas Fault and the Gerlach Fault there in Southern California. And not a good situation. Not a good situation out there in California. But, you know, I try to post pertinent information that will help people. And we still have these bozos and fucknuts that still think that, these lens flares are planets in the sky. I've deleted the majority of the garbage. When people post garbage in this group, that's exactly what I do. And I think the majority of them are now getting the picture. Just like this post right here. The destroyer is on its way. This is a YouTube video. Complete and utter garbage. Nonsense. All stinking lies. Every bit of it. And I'm going to show you something else, folks. Because now that I've got myself all pissed off, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. We're going to go back to the boob tube right here. And let's type in just simply Planet X. Let's see what comes up. Look at that. Planet X may be real. Evidence mounting for ninth planet 3 years ago. What's the name of my channel? All of my tags are in place. My videos, my YouTube channel should be coming up first. But yet, they have videos from 3 years ago. Look at this. Planet X, the new planet in our solar system. 3 years ago. 8 months ago. 9 years ago. 9. So that's what I'm telling you, folks. If you don't come back to Planet X News on this YouTube channel on your own, forget about the notifications. If you don't come back here on your own once a day just to check it out, you'll never know what's up. Same thing here. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 1 week. The search for Planet X preview by Man versus Meeple. Whatever the hell that is, but it's complete garbage. Here, more garbage. 5 months ago. This is a repeat copy video. 3 years ago. 2 years ago. 6 years ago. 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Have you seen any of my goddamn videos yet? No, you haven't. 1 month. 1 year. 3 years. 3 years. No views. Huh. More garbage, 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 garbage. What is Nibiru, aka Planet X, 2 years ago? Have you seen any one of my videos yet? Absolutely not. All garbage, because all of these videos, everything that you see here, now it's into Planet X bicycles. There's a bicycle company called Planet X. They build these high-tech, all-terrain mountain bikes. Games, Planet X, Apollo. Look at this shit. Have you seen any one of my videos? No, you haven't. That's the first full page. Typing in Planet X. Nothing. Bicycles, bicycles, bicycles. Bullshit. Look. Nothing. Have you even seen my YouTube channel pop up? No, you haven't. Nothing. I could thumb through this shit all day. Nothing. Here's another garbage YouTube channel right here. Planet X Hunter. Complete fake garbage. I've watched some of his videos and they're complete garbage. Now, here you go. Now you're getting into even more garbage. 10 years ago. 4 years ago. All of this. All garbage. Every stinking bit of it. Finally, Dr. Elber's channel comes up. How long have we been sitting here sifting through this garbage? Here's this channel here. I don't know whose channel that is, but that's just complete garbage also. I could guarantee it. Nathan, Planet X, 11 videos. He's probably stealing videos from people. Planet X Hunter, here's what I'm talking about. All garbage, all lens flares, and dirty lenses. This guy right here, this Israeli News Live guy, he's in cahoots with Pastor Paul Begley, and all they do is talk trash and spread lies. Tell them I said that, because that's all they do. So you haven't seen my YouTube channel yet, have you? You haven't seen it yet. Here's Alex Luhan's garbage channel, Planet X Today. I think that's his, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It's all garbage. All of this. You still haven't seen my YouTube channel come up, Planet X News, have you? All of this garbage. All of this recycled crap. But you still haven't seen Planet X News, have you? Look at that. Nothing. Nothing. So, you know what I mean, Jelly Bean, whenever I tell you that they censor the living hell out of my YouTube channel. And, you know, this YouTube channel has over 21 million views, 84,000 subscribers. We should have millions of subscribers. But YouTube will not allow it. The United States government will not allow it. The elite, the globalists, they know who the hell I am, and they don't want you people listening to me. They don't want you listening to anybody who is giving cold, hard truth. They despise it because they are the scum of the earth. Period. Take it for what it is. Anyways, now that I've got myself nice and mad, and I've got my blood pressure boiling, I'm going to go about my business for the day. Do me a favor, folks. Share the video. Or not. Keep an eye on your weather, because things are going to get real dicey in both hemispheres, and you're going to see that happening very rapidly. As soon as I gather new information, you folks will be the first to see it. You can guarantee that. Be safe out there, folks. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching. Take care. Be safe out there.